Hey everyone, welcome to Gadsden State Community College Softball Show. I'm the Howie Chandler, along with QB1 Randy Cunningham, and of course, the star of the show, the main man, the man that makes it all possible, Coach Ryan Clark. Coach Clark, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Um, let's go ahead and get well, Randy disappeared. But anyway, let's go ahead and get it kind of out there. You got two games, or actually got four games at home this week, because of some of the scheduling that took place last year. If you will, go ahead and talk a little bit about that because you got games on Thursday and Friday, but they're all at Gadsden State.
Right. So we will actually be the visitors on Thursday, but all four Thursday and Friday, the doubleheader on both days will be at our facility. So last year we went down and we traveled to them and played 2 days in a row, kind of like this, because it is such a far trip. So we're not having to make that trip this year, and we're playing all four at our place.
Well, that's cool. I was going to ask why that took place, but it makes sense because where are they actually located at?
Bay Minette, Bay Minette, not too far from Orange Beach, Gulf Shores area.
So yeah, that's it's a lot better than having to try to make that trip down there, a 1 day trip or whatever.
Right. Right.
Um, so with them coming up, does Gaston State or yourself kind of maybe try to help them find a place to stay at for the next couple of days?
If they ask, yeah, if they ask, we would have helped them try to find a place. But a lot of times, anywhere they go, baseball or softball, they'll spend the night. So they probably have a hotel that they're used to using anyway. So I imagine that's what they did.
Probably got a lot of points built up as far as being able to stay at a reduced rate or everything.
Right.
Let's get right into it. Stat wise, number wise, you're 35-14 on the season, 12-12 in the conference, and you got to be excited about your overall record, but the conference record, you kind of, I'm assuming you got to be a little bit disappointed in the 12-12 so far in the conference.
Yeah, I would say out of the 12 and 12, there's probably four games in there that I feel like we should have won, could have won in different ways. So 12 and 12 is not where we want to be at. We set a goal early in the year, and that goal is still reachable for the team as far as how many wins we wanted to have in conference. It's still reachable. So I fully expect that we're still still working for that goal. And we talked about that earlier today. None of our goals have been knocked out of place as far as what we wanted to do throughout the conference.
Right. So, like I said, 35-14, 12-12 in the conference. Unfortunately, you're on a two-game losing streak, but your home record is 17-7. You got to be ecstatic about that, and the road record is 18-7. You got to be even more than happy about that one there. And with the next four games at home, you gotta, what's the old saying? You gotta make hay while the sun's shining.
Right. Yeah. No, we got six straight at home. So the first two against Snead will be at our place too. So our last six home games are coming up, and between Thursday this week and Thursday of next week, we'll be finished playing at home for the year.
That's good. And also batting average at 325 in 49 games. You got 330 runs with 38 home runs. Uh, you started off on fire with home runs, and it seems like you've kind of cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, our conference is loaded with pitchers. I do think Shelton, who we just played this past week, I think their pitching staff's as good as anybody's in our conference. I would put them up against anybody that we've seen so far. They both had a really good week this week, and the numbers show it. We had five earned runs over four games, and for us to be able to get a win out of that, if you would have told me we got five earned runs in four games, I wouldn't have thought we would have had a win out of that. But for us to get a win even with only five earned runs and eight total runs, that shows that their pitching staff's really really tough.
And speaking of pitching staff, that's a good transition over to yours with a ERA of 3.27, and that number has kind of rose over the last few weeks. But overall, I still feel like you probably got to be pleased with a 3.27 ERA.
Yeah, 3.27 is not bad at all, especially in our conference. You look at other conference teams, and their team ERA is pretty high compared to that. I mean, I'm not saying it's really high, but higher than that. With just for example, the Shelton series we had a ERA of a 3.1. If you'd have told me that we'd have went into that series and had a 3.1 ERA over 4 games, I would have thought we would have got more than one. Our bats just we ran into a buzzsaw, and it is what it is. And we just got to move forward from it and improve next week.
Uh, One last question, then Randy, I'll let you take over. Does it finally feel like it's softball season? Finally got all this cold out and all this rainy weather out, and actually playing in decent weather at the moment.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's actually really hot. It's been really hot the last couple of weeks, and it takes a toll on you. But I'd much rather it feel like this than when it was 25 degrees back in January.
Go ahead, Randy.
We know Coach Clark don't do cold weather.
Mm, I'm not a big
So,
fan.
hey, Coach, I got some things to cover. Well, first of all, Presley hits the award market again. I think a week before last. She's named a player. Well, you go ahead and tell her what she got named this
She
time.
got conference player of the week. We actually had two that I nominated for it, and I told them, I said, y'all are gonna have to choose these two because we had two with phenomenal numbers. It was her and Ava Ramsey. They both had great numbers on the week, and but Presley had really big series against Southern Union as far as getting some home runs, some RBIs. She had a great week. And then she got the player of the week curse this past week. So, maybe that one's going out of her system now. But no, she's been obviously we know that she's been really good for us all year. Ava's been really good for us this year as well. And there's several that we've put up for it every week. And um, Presley's numbers this past week were just I guess so unbelievable to the ones that had to choose that they went with her. But she had a really good week, and I'm very proud of her for that.
Coach, how is the new field handled? Um, a year of live ball on it and 6 games coming up this week, over the next week. And I know it's turf, but has the field performed the way you expected it to?
Yes, our turf has done really well. We maintain it like we're supposed to, so I think that's helping keep it um, pretty standard as far as the hops that we're getting and what we expect off of it. And it's a little different than everybody else's turf, so faster. The fibers are a little shorter on, but different infield than everybody else. So it's played really good. Now that the trees and everything are growing up behind it, we losing some softballs at practice because I'm not out there to get them. These are the girls when possibility of snakes being back there since our maintenance guy saw a few. But no, the field's holding up really well, and it's been it's been really good.
Is this the time that we go opposite field training so we don't lose as many softball? We're
Opposite
focusing on
field's
getting more
worse.
ball. Oh, really?
No, opposite field's way worse. It drops straight off back there. It goes straight to the river. So
Oh my God. Well,
we're we
we know where the softball supply is for the year, though.
no doubt if you want to go fight the rattlesnakes, because I'm not going to, but they're down there.
They don't do cold weather or rattlesnakes. I
Mm,
respect both of them, coaches. Uh,
mm.
Coach, you battled the injury bug and a little bit, and but for the most part, has the off-season training program uh, uh, been able to be successful? Which is successful is eliminating some of the bugs. I feel like you've kind of came through in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we've got 2 more weeks of regular season, then hopefully conference tournament after that, and there's not a lot of teams that have made it this far without several injuries, and a lot of ours have been minor that we've had, and We had two major injuries, and we had one that had a knee that was out all the way up until this past week, and obviously Zeta, she had her knee messed up, and she's underwent surgery, and so she's recovering now. So, but we've been very fortunate, and I hope it remains that way. And I do think a lot of it has to do with the way they train in the off season, the way they train in season as well. They work really hard in the weight room, just to prevent some injuries that from happening.
Coach, how much time do you spend in the cage now, headed towards tournament time and the end of the season? Or is it the same practice, or are you starting to scale back a little bit?
Well, we've been since we started conference, we've been a little more scaled back on Mondays. Then we ramp it back up. Tuesday's usually our long day. We went a little longer today because we don't know what the weather holds for the rest of the week as far as Tuesday, Wednesday goes. So usually it's a little more scaled back on Monday. We go to the weight room Monday morning, and then we come out and have a lighter day. But Tuesday, Wednesday is as planned usually. That we're preparing for the next team. Mondays really fix us. So we took a lot of swings today. We also made 7 errors in the Shelton series, and that kills me to say because we usually don't play defense that way, and bad timed errors too. You can get away with an error every now and then, but when they're poorly timed, it's not good for you. So we took a lot of reps as far as fielding the ball today. Took a lot of reps, a lot of swings as well. All of our hitters got a lot of swings in as well. So tomorrow and Wednesday we really start focusing in more on Coastal South.
Coach, one last question. We'll go back to Howie. I just want to cover the season up to this point in a way. And it's more looking back when we started this show in January. We talked about some goals and some opportunities and stuff. Has this team performed at its highest level yet, or is its best softball still out there for it?
No, we've been talking about that a little bit. We'll have certain hitters get hot in the lineup at a time, and Ava's been pretty consistent since we went in the conference, and then you have a couple weeks there where Evelyn and Presley can't be touched, and then other times you got Kayla that gets really hot, and then Leighton's been hot as of late. So, when I think the one game offensively that we all were hitting the ball well, and that was 1 through 9. I think that was Walter State. You kind of thought, hey, maybe we're about to peak, and then we played pretty well through the Calhoun series and swung it really well through the Southern Union series, and then ran into that buzzsaw last week. So, it's been there. We pitched it really well last week. I think other than game one, there's only one pitch that we'd like to bring back, reel back in, and that was in the first inning of game four. That's the only pitch I think that was not a good pitch as far as uh, where it was thrown and to who it was thrown to. And then you get that pitch back, and we pitched really well the games 2 through 4. So you know, over the next couple of weeks, that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to get all on the same page as far as I guess not on the same page, but all cylinders firing as far as offense, defense, and pitching. Usually we'll get 2 of the 3 at least. This week all we had was one. We pitched it well, and that was it. We didn't field it well. We didn't hit it well. So you got to have at least 2 of the 3 going really well for you in order to beat some of these teams in our conference.
Howie, let me ask one follow up question. Coach, I meant to ask you to follow that up. There was a point in this season where these young ladies could have kind of folded it. They had a really rough stretch in the middle of the season, beginning of kind of early on in conference. Facing that stretch, I thought they performed great coming out of that stretch and really didn't let it bother them and kind of put it behind them fast.
Yeah, this group's got a lot of fight in them. You're going to have to a whole lot worse than that to get this group down. And they come to work every day. They have good attitudes. There was no dragging around today. It was a lot of good attitudes, a lot of listening, a lot of taking in, and so I look forward to the next couple of weeks seeing them come out of what just happened to them against Shelton.
Hey, Howie, they never went against me in a eating contest. That would really that would settle on my thing. But we won't have to face that before the season.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
They've got a huge tote in there that they take on road trips, and somehow they go through the entire thing in one weekend. So I don't know. They may be up against you there.
Coach, snack level high on this team.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, good,
no doubt.
good, good. I love it. I love it. Go ahead, Howie.
Coach, back to something you was talking about earlier as far as the outfield, the balls going and losing so many balls and everything. Have you ever thought about fixing something up where the balls could be retrieved somehow?
No, I think I think what we got to do is get the city to burn from the backside of our field all the way down to the river next fall whenever they can, because it goes up and under everything, and you're not getting some of those, and I'm not sticking my hand under some of that brush, so they're just gone. The snakes can have them.
I
Hey,
was
if
wondering.
there's a rattlesnake circled around a ball, that rattlesnake owns the ball.
That's right. It's his forever.
Yes,
I was
sir.
just wondering if you ever thought about putting up some type of netting or something to help catch those balls somehow.
We actually talked about that the other day. Is maybe put another. Um, those nets are very expensive, but we looked into possibly talked about possibly putting one up from right center to center field up high, so that a lot of them will stay in instead of go down into the wooded area there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a little green garden snake for all I care. It's a snake's a snake.
Snake's a snake. That's right.
I don't
Hey,
care.
they might be building the green monster in right field. It won't be the left field like Boston, but the snake monster in right field of Gadsden State.
Well, I don't. I'd like to. The reason I would rather do a net than a wall is because the river's back there. So you lose the whole view of the river if you put a
Oh yeah,
wall.
that's
And
true.
so we had talked about a wall at first, but you block every bit of that off. So I think a net would be better in the long run.
Um, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. Not knowing what the weather holds for the next 2 or 3 days, how do you really prepare and plan for your schedule slash games?
So we got as much as we could in this week or today to move forward into the week. If start practice tomorrow, if it does, we'll be fine. Just because as long as it's not 30 minutes, we're good to go on the field. So tomorrow looks fine. Don't know yet. It was kind of touch and go, and I think the weather looks like it's going to be out of here before Thursday because we've got a big event going on Thursday. They're cutting the ribbon for the fields, the facility, the baseball, softball fields. I think a lot of the alumni are coming back, so it's going to be a really big deal here on Thursday, and so we need that weather to be gone before Thursday and Friday anyway.
With all that taking place on Thursday, how do you keep your team kind of in check and the emotions kind of down or game ready, I guess you could say?
We don't really talk about the outside things. It's kind of like homecoming in football. There's still a ball game to be played. I think a lot of the people that will be involved in that celebration, I think they kind of understand that, and I think they realize it's all circled around a game. The game's not circled, right. So I think the big thing is going to be cool for her. A lot of the line probably they're watching, and you have a big crowd. We should be used to that. We've played in front of a lot of big crowds this year, so I don't think it should affect us any at all. We're excited that we're having that event. We're excited that everybody's going to be here on campus with us, but I don't think that'll play any effect on us and what we do.
And that'll take place before the first game on Thursday. Is that correct?
Correct. Baseball plays at 1. We play at 3. So most of that stuff's going to be done and over with. I think it starts at 11 a.m. So a lot of that stuff's going to be way finished before we ever even start warming up.
Oh, okay, so it's going to be basically for both fields, I guess you can say.
Right, the whole facility. So they're going to cut the ribbon and do a whole celebration off of that.
Hey,
Oh,
interesting day if you want to go down and watch, catch a doubleheader, get baseball and softball in one day.
That's right.
well,
Yep.
actually, to a certain extent, it'd be like a triple header: one baseball game, two softball games.
No, 2-2. You got 4 games going on that day.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep. Yeah, baseball plays at 1 and 3, so they'll be starting their second game. We start our first one. They're kind of offset like that on purpose, so everybody can really watch a baseball game early, and then the second softball game will be at the back end of the baseball games.
So a quadruple header. There we go.
Oh yeah.
So, and probably going to be a ton of people there. Like I said, the alumni's coming back and everything. And are y'all inviting some of the previous, back in the day, previous players?
Yeah, that's a we're really reaching out. Really have a lot. We got one that's playing and she did well. We're fitting for him, and I'm pretty sure she made a conference with Tori Crocker and she's doing really well for them. So, technically, that's the only we got right now since the start back. So, that's it's for people that were before the shutdown, before the 2016 season.
That's good. It's a big event and everything. It's going to be taking place Thursday at Gadsden. Um, we talked about Coastal Alabama coming in. Could you tell us a little about them? Everything that you're expecting to see out of them, pitching wise, batting wise. Are they a long ball team? Are they base by base? Tell us a little about them.
No, they're a good team. They put out a lot of good numbers offensively. They swing the bat really well. They've hit all types of pitching really well. And it's not you go look at their scores, and they've hit good pitching well. They've hit mediocre pitching well, so it tells you they're good hitters. They got one of the most dangerous hitters in the conference on their team, Sydney Carpenter, and she swings it really well. And I think she's got 16 home runs on the year, and they got several that are batting up around or above 400. So it'll be very similar to us offensively. Pitching wise, they've got three really lean on that are all pretty good. The Daniels girl back from last year, she's kind of the workhorse. She's pretty good. She spins it pretty well. She can go up. She's got a good change up. So what happened? But anyway, they got a really solid team. They've been pretty good throughout the con.
Coach, you still there?
Yeah, you got a delay.
Okay. Well, you're kind of fading in and out a little bit. It's like the connection's not real good for tonight's show for some
Oh,
reason. So then I have no idea where Randy went. But anyway, but yeah, it sounds like you're facing a team that's just you know like you described. It's just like playing against yourself, I guess.
yeah, they're a solid team. They're not going to beat themselves. They play pretty good defense and they swing it really well. So um, should be a fun series. And I know they usually have a lot of high energy in their dugout, and so it should be a fun one.
I talked about the stats early on, and I've asked you this one time before, and I'm going to ask you again. Um, the record, what, 35-17, I think is what I said overall. Would you'd ever thought that after year two you'd be at 35-17?
Well, I hope we're not at 35-17, but we're at 35-14 right now. But
I'm
no,
sorry.
I wouldn't have. No, you're good. You're good. I wouldn't have. I would have probably thought closer to 500. Being in the second year, that's just pretty typical. Is what second year program that's having a good year is usually around the 500 mark, and that's where we're at in conference right now. And I do know we've got a lot of good players, and a lot of our players are freshmen. So that kind of laying a foundation for the years to come.
Yeah, my apologies on that. I had clicked off of these
No, no,
the
you're good.
stat numbers and going to the schedule looking because of the just looking at the schedule and I was going by memory. I remember the 35. I couldn't remember what the loss was. So let's hope you don't hit 17 this year. Let's hope it just. Let's hope that first number keeps
Yeah,
on rising.
yep, that's what we're hoping for.
Absolutely. I don't know if Randy's having
I,
issues
I,
or what.
I'm here. I just something with my camera is going crazy. So, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Coach.
Yeah,
I know without. I hate depriving the fans of seeing my face. I know they all love it, but uh,
I
just
know.
to stay, yeah, just to stay on. Not to get off subject here, but Howie was talking about the progress throughout the year. Uh, when you got this job, what 3 4 years ago, and what was
Mhm.
this year's goal? Not record wise, but when you wrote out the plan, what was the plan for year two on the field?
The plan for year two on the field, like I was saying earlier, was to be around 500. Because that's hard to do, and that's hard to do, especially in the second year, and knowing that we would have on the field, and we knew that with uh, the first class and the second class at the same time. And the freshmen would have to play a lot this year, and with a team full of freshmen, a 500 year would still be a good year. We've already passed that up, and so we've got our eyes set on some bigger things already at a schedule.
When do you start roster construction for next year, or have you started it with your signing class earlier in the year? Do you have a pretty good idea what it's going to look
So
like next year?
I try not to get too much into that when we're still in the season at hand. I don't really, not that I don't care about the team that's going to be here next year, but that's my main focus right now. My main focus is the year. I do know we've got 13 signed in the class of 2026. Um, I think it's 12. 12 signed in the class of 2026. And so, you put together the freshmen that'll be coming back with those 12.
That's a good group. That's a large group, Coach.
It is, and that's the number you want to aim for. You want to be around anywhere from 11 to 13 every year, so that you're not replacing an entire starting team every single time that you have a new recruiting class.
That's the advantage. A 4 year school maybe has over a 2 year school. You when you sign somebody or when you bring somebody in the program, you've got to have kind of a plan where you want to be within the next 24 months.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you kind of have a short term plan with them and a long plan with them because some things work out, some don't work out, and you expect to have certain ones back, and so you kind of have a short plan with them, and then as a team, and so we're looking forward to the 2026 class coming in and trying to build off what these 25s have started, and the 24s before them start.
Howie, go ahead, sir. I'm dipping again. Somebody hit a pole in my neighborhood that's really killing my internet. I heard them hit it a minute ago, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm able to get on just enough.
Yeah. Coach, you're in the middle of this season. I don't want to look too far ahead or nothing, but you got some girls that freshman and sophomore both that could be moving on to the next level. How do you work with those girls and get them concentrated on this season instead of looking ahead to where they could possibly be at next year?
Well, I think they're all focused at what's at hand. Um, I've got a really good group, and I know I've said it 1,000 times, and everybody's probably tired of hearing me say that, but I think the group that's here, they're really bought into what we're doing here and now. And obviously they know, like Ava's already signed. Sydney's had offers, Abby's had offers. But they're more focused on what we're doing here and what we're doing right now. You don't really have to worry too much about that because, especially for this sophomore class that's here right now, they've got some unfinished business that they want to take care of, and then these freshmen got something to prove the next couple of weeks, and so I think everybody's pretty focused on what's here and now, and the future will be what the future will be, and obviously, we've got some freshmen that can definitely go and play at the 4 year level after next year's season, and we try to take care of that just before season starts in January and February, and try to get all that stuff settled down before we ever get into conference play, and so that way they're not having to think about it and talk about it. So, but I think this group's really focused on what's here right now in front of us.
Yeah, these sophomore girls is kind of setting the standards for the years to come as far as, hey, if we can do it after 2 seasons and, you girls are coming in, y'all keep it rolling for us and keep improving every year.
Right, and there's 9 in that group, and I've said it multiple times. They've been good for the program in multiple ways, whether they play or not. They've been good in the locker room and for the other players that came in to kind of show them how we need to do things and what we expect moving forward.
Well, look who decided to join us again.
We are now officially on the first satellite podcast for softball. The Gadsden State softball is breaking record now. We are on satellite.
There we go.
But, Coach, do you do you reach out to the colleges, or do the colleges reach out to you about the girls' potential moving on to the next level?
Both. I mean, it just depends. I've had several reach out about our players, and I always go right to the player and tell them as soon as that coach reaches out, because I'm not going to keep them from anything that could be important for their future. And but also I'll reach out too if somebody's interested in school. So um, I've had several phone calls about others on our roster as well that are sophomores, and a lot of times the 4 years aren't going to talk a lot to the freshmen if they've got the transfer portal and everything else that they're dealing with. So a lot of times when they get in that sophomore year, it really ramps up for them.
I, I don't want to get too deep into this, so I'll just ask one more question about this, and then we'll move on more about this year's team. And you know, when the schools contact you, the bigger schools, has any of the bigger schools contacted you about not necessarily your girls, but some of the girls that you played against? Like, hey, what's your opinion on this girl here or that girl?
Yeah, and it goes the other way too. Like, I won't name the player or the coach or the school anyway, but there's players in this conference that have not got many looks that you know deserve some looks, and if I'm ever in contact with a coach that I think that player can play for, I always speak for that kid as well, as long as she's not, running her mouth to us the whole game. But, I'll always speak for that kid too, just because it's not about me in this business. It's not about the coaches and coaching staff and what we do. It's about the girls and getting them on to, fulfill a dream that they've always had and continue playing this game as long as they can. So, if any of them ever ask me about a player that's in the other dugout, I'll give my honest opinion on them too. So, I would never talk bad about somebody else's player if I'm ever asked about it, just because you know my opinion may be the one that stops the person from getting offered, and I'm not ever going to keep somebody from that. And I'm for every girl in this league going to play 4 year ball if they want to do so. So, I have had conversations with 4 year coaches about players on other rosters as well.
Randy, I think Coach Clark is reaching out to some of the 4 year schools and saying, "Hey, this freshman here is dynamite. You need to come after her." Basically, just to
That
get her
does
out of
that
the
does
league,
happen. That does
just
happen in
just
our
to get her
league.
out of the league. Get her out of the league before next season.
Hey,
That
hey, I don't
that
want to
does
turn this
happen in our
into
league. It
I don't
does
want to
happen.
turn
I've
this into
I've not done
recruiting
it.
stuff. I have a daughter who's a junior that's being recruited to play flag football, and she'll never get another coach from another team to endorse her because it is a constant talking to every player and coach that can hear her on the field. Just saying, she comes by it honest, but she'll never get a
Well,
recommendation.
even if she's doing that and somebody does ask, they may say she's pretty good. Now you're gonna have to keep her in check, but she's pretty good. But you know that happens sometimes too.
I let her watch one Larry Bird film when she was 4 years old, and it hadn't stopped since then.
Oh yeah.
So, Coach, it's really the big time of the year. You know, you're talking about tournament and finishing the season off. There is another gear that kicks in, and I know from my little experience and stuff, when it comes to playoff times, players find something that's not there the rest of the year. Um, are the girls fired up about, hey, we're gonna get some opportunities here? And do
Well,
you see that in them?
I do. I see the energy kind of just from today. I feel like the energy was up. We're not in yet. We're not. We're not sealed in anywhere yet. We've still got some games that we need to take care of. We know the number we're trying to get to that will get us in no matter what. And then once we get that number, then it's just relax, play, have fun. Let's get in. Let's get some more wins, even if we're already, sealed the deal. But we know the number that we're trying to get to, and we've known it the entire season, and kind of told them early in the year, this is the number we got to get to, and this is our goal number. And both of those are still intact, and I think they're ready to try to reach those goals
Isn't
next
it
couple of
funny
weeks.
that goal number that you start with often is also the number that you need to get where you want to go?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And we just kind of had an idea, just based off of years previous of where we needed to get to, and I think it's a real possibility for us to reach that goal that we're trying to get to.
Coach, a softball season, it's a journey. I mean, you play so much. Y'all started last fall. You've played you know what, 47, 48 games this year already in the spring. Um, does it ever hit a wall with the players or even the coaches that you've played so much that you're just kind of like, I got to refocus?
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. And I think they kind of went through that a few weeks back before we got through the Calhoun series and got through the Southern Union series, and it's a long year, and the way we play our conference, everybody's kind of wore down, and it's really whoever's going to dig a little deeper and get that energy up, and it's all about which team's going to fight a little bit more, because everybody's in the same boat. It's not like we're special, and we're the only team that's played 49 games. Everybody's played similar amount of games, so it's all about who's going to dig a little deeper here in the next couple of weeks.
Coach Clark, I'm going to ask you something on a personal level, and we don't have to dig too far. I remember a few years ago when you made this decision to go into college softball, and that was your dream, and I understood. Was it an emotional time for you, or did you always know that girls softball was your future to leave football, leave the high school level, and to move up another level and change sports? Was this something that was always in the back of your mind?
No, yeah, it was kind of always in the back of my mind. I'd had a couple opportunities in years past to get back and work in college, and had I not been married and starting a family early, I would have taken a different job at another place that where I graduated college from, and Coach Tracy at Snead called me and told me he had a spot open, and had I not been married and the money would have been a little better, I probably would have. That's where I would have started out. That's where I would have got back into the college life, and so I had a couple more opportunities as well. I just never really jumped on, and they never really felt right until this one came available, and I don't know. I felt pretty led to go apply for this one, and then it just happened, and I was lucky enough to get this job. So I think in the back of my mind, I always told everybody that I coached with, if I get the opportunity to go back to college, that's where I'm going. And I don't really know down deep where that comes from, but I just always knew that I was going back at some point in time, and who knows if that's forever or for 10 years, who knows? But for the time being, it's been really pretty cool to live out a little bit of a dream here.
Coach, has there ever been a softball game at Gadsden State or even at your time previous that got as heated as the Sylvania football softball game?
Uh well, I got a little heated the other day at Shelton, but I don't I don't know if it wasn't because of the other team. It wasn't two teams getting heated at each other. Um, I just disagreed with the umpire, and it wasn't his call that I was upset about. It was the fact that he looked at the other umpire and said, "I don't know." And
Mm,
I kind of blew a gasket. Probably went a little too far, but he understood that I did not like the call and how he handled it, because you never say "I don't know" where I can hear you, because you have to know, because it's your call. And I wasn't really more upset with the call, because I think he got the call right, if we're being honest. But when he came out and he said, "I don't know," I don't know. I think it was the pre workout I had that morning. It resurfaced and I kind of blew a gasket.
Coach, it's
Got a little
okay.
upset.
Did you have to put the girls at the end of the bench after you blew a gasket? I mean, did you?
No, no, and no. I didn't even
I
really say
guess
much to him. I had to go. I had to leave. I had to go sit in the concession stand for the rest of the game. So
Okay,
You
coach.
know, I had to go be out of sight, out of mind for the rest of that game. So that was the game we won at Shelton, and that was in the sixth inning, top of the sixth when that happened. So the next inning and a half, I'm watching it on the TV, and then the TV goes out, so I don't even know if we win, if we lose, if the game's over. And then I start seeing some of our parents walk by, and I kind of crack the door, and I'm like, "Hey, what happened?" Because I really didn't know the TV went out, and when you get ejected, you gotta be out of sight, out of mind. So I was out of sight, hidden in their concession stand, and so which is on the backside, outside their facility. But that was probably the most heated I've been in a while.
Coach, do you want the any kind of review? I know some of we're talking about the major league level. They have more cameras and more
I
everything.
want I want review and ABS. I want it all. Give it all to us. Put it in place. I got multiple reasons for that. We're not going to go into that, but I want review and ABS. I want all of it. As soon as they allow us to have it, we'll sell donuts if we have to purchase it.
Does it make the umpire better knowing they have
I,
ADS?
I think it has to.
I
Yeah,
do too.
I think it's got to, and I think you're seeing an improvement in the MLB, and when they start doing reviews and stuff like that, it's made umpires better.
I,
And so I think reviews are coming down. I think everybody in our league's almost about to be equipped with a system called Aware. Ours is actually, our electrician's already set everything up, and we'll have it for next season. But so review is all a possibility across our league, and I think that it's coming pretty fast.
Coach. I, this is me saying it, not you. But officials, even at the high school level, are paid to umpire those games, and in some cases, played well. Or to ref a game or to umpire a game. The one thing I've always said, as 36 years in the booth, I don't care if you get the call wrong, just be accountable to your call. And I think that's what the ABS does, makes them accountable to their call. And if you're accountable for your call, if you get it wrong and you made the call in your heart you thought was right, all right, let's go on. Let's play the next game. Let's play the next pitch. Let's play the next down. Just
I,
be accountable. Does that make
I'm a lot
sense to you?
easier. I'm a lot easier for sure. I'm a lot easier to deal with when he'll look over there and pat his chest. Yeah, I missed that call, but it's a lot easier to deal with on both ends when that happens.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And God knows we don't appreciate the refs and umps enough. In football, especially, that dying, if anything could affect football in the future, it's not a lack of refs at the high school level. So I praise all anybody that will go out there and do it. It's a tough
Right.
job.
Yeah, and we're going to all try. I think our entire conference is going to try to go to a 3-man crew next year, and um, I think Northeast doing that this year, and then us seeing it in the postseason. That's what we'll see in the postseason if we were lucky enough to make it. And that's something that I think we all need to go to. Puts them in a better angle, puts them more accountable. You got two other guys there looking at the same play, and I think that's something that will help. And then as soon as we are able to get replay, I think a lot of things can really change. Not that we've had a ton of blown calls or anything, but there's nothing right now to one hold anybody accountable. And it's not that they've really been arrogant about it, but there's also nothing for them to look at to see if they got it right or not. So I think that's going to be good for everybody, and we do appreciate our umpires that are at our games. But
100%.
that I think that would be helpful for everybody. And if they do still think they're right, then we can sit down after the game and go back to that exact play in my office and say, okay, you show me where you see that, and we'll talk about it, and that would be it. But right now, there's nothing to go off of.
That's an opportunity to make Coach Ryan Clark better. Also by having
Yeah,
that technology. Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
sure.
And again, it's me saying this. I'm a 100% believe in the refs and umpires and whoever is willing to go out to do it. But you're also getting paid to be there. Get them right if you can. Make every effort to get your call. At least feel good about your call. Because Major League
Yep.
umpires and NFL referees blow calls every day. It's
Yep.
possible. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Howie, I went on my tangent. Yeah, I can get on a referee and umpire tangent. I think it's too long in a booth and not winning a state championship in 36 years. I think I'm gonna have to go to 5 and call their games for a year and just get one at a school that I know. I went to South Pittsburgh, still didn't get one. That's all I can say. If I jinx South Pittsburgh, ain't nobody ever winning a state title with me around.
Yep.
I got a disclaimer to say the views and the opinions expressed on here by Randy and myself are our own, not by Coach Clark or
That-
anybody else. So when I was joking around about Coach Clark trying to get rid of some of the freshmen, it was totally on me. And with Randy talking about the officials, it's totally on him. Nothing to do with Coach Clark at all.
Love officials, but it's my opinion, not Coach Clark.
And Coach Clark, I know where
Yeah.
you're coming from. When an official says "I don't know" and then turns around and make the call, that makes you real think that he's guessing at what the call should be instead of go ahead and making the call and being, like Randy said, accountable for it instead of
When I
saying,
when I went out to ask the question, had he said, "Coach, I saw it. She caught the ball," I probably would have turned around and went to the dugout.
right,
But instead, we have a prolonged conversation that ends up getting me in the concession stand. So
Were you
Rand,
able to get snacks back there, Coach? Did you
yeah,
get a hot dog?
yeah, I had to leave him some cash, but I got a snack and a drink while I was sitting there.
All right.
Randy was asking if you made the players go to the other end of the dugout. I was going to ask, did the players make you go to the other end of the dugout for go to timeout for a little while?
Oh, I think they get time. I've been ejected. Russo's got ejected one time, but we've got warned a couple times, but that I think they get a kick out of it. They thought it was pretty funny, but I did not think it was funny at the time.
Hey, Coach, I got threw out in a broadcast booth one time, so let's just leave it at that. If you can ever
Been there.
get thrown out from
Howie's
40 yards away,
I've been there.
Go,
Howie saw me and another. It might have been Coach Hart
it
get thrown out
was.
of a press box one night.
oh yeah,
So,
yeah,
I was standing right behind him when the clock keeper said either y'all
and I'll
shut
be
up or y'all get out.
I'll be
I,
honest with you. I don't blame him one bit for throwing us out of that press box that night.
probably Coach Wilson was with you.
No,
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 this was
this
pre
is
Coach
pre
Wilson.
Wilson.
I just
Yeah,
blaming Coach Wilson.
I was standing right behind him because it was raining that night, and I wasn't going to stand on the sideline and get wet, so I was behind them. And as soon as the quarter was over with, I got out of there because I knew something was fixing to happen.
and the
And it
next year
wasn't
we went back to that same place. They they had a Bible sitting there for Coach Hart when he got there. So,
Hey,
so
Coach, just from Reggie Whitefield over at Howard High School, you get your own booth where nobody can hear. It's kind of your own soundproof booth. So I'm pro. I'm pro that. Anytime we can go to Reggie White, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
no doubt.
But yeah, I understand where you're coming from as far as the referees being questionable and all that. If you make the call, stand up to the coach and say, "Hey, that was what I saw. That's what I want to call."
Yep.
Never say, "I'm not sure. Or, I don't know." That just basically like throwing gasoline on the fire. It's not going to end good for either one of you.
Nope. And it didn't. So,
And
So
never go up to the announcer or the radio guy and tell him to shut his mouth. He will get thrown out for that too. So
yep. Yep. No doubt.
coach getting thrown out or ejected and all that. I know in high school you get a fine and all that. What is the punishment for junior college getting thrown out?
The head coach, he goes by NCAA rules. So the head coach, unless it's a violent or a level two ejection, then it's no game suspension unless you do it a lot, which I don't plan on doing that. But if, it kind of falls in the commissioner's hands to say I got ejected 5 games in a row. He's probably going to make me sit, but assistant coaches have to sit one. Head coaches don't have to sit any right now, as long as it's not violent or a level two, which is a lot of profanity. And I did not use any profanity in that ejection, so it was just a level one. So I was able to come back and play coach the next game.
So let me ask this real quick, Randy. I know you got a question, but how awkward was it going to give the lineup to the officials at that next game?
Well,
Or
that was game two on that day. So the
oh,
next
okay.
game was the one at home. So it was different set of officials.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've done
Go
that
ahead.
before, and then got ejected again at the home plate meeting. Not this, not here, but I've done that one time. So that doesn't work out good either, because AHSA will get you for both of them. So you definitely don't want to do that.
Ooh, that's 6 bills right there.
Yep, yep.
Go
I
ahead,
think I
Randy.
had to write a letter.
I know Coach Clark is a man of God too, and I'll just say that I would have got a level 14 that night. I don't know what it takes to get there, but I strung combinations that's never been used before together. So congratulations, Coach. I'm glad to
Yeah,
hear
been trying to work on that. So that was.
it.
I think that was the most. I think that's why the girls got such a big kick out of it. They're like, "You didn't even say one bad word." Thanks, thanks. I've been trying. So thanks.
Uh, I forgot about that. I actually had to write one of those letters as well. I got thrown out of the last game I ever coached at, and it was 3 bills and a letter saying what happened, your side of the story, because I think the official had to write his side of the story as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot
And,
about that.
I just
oh
wrote,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
So
Coach, we're going to let you get out here. We appreciate your time. For the people that are watching right now, stick around. We're going to be back on here in a few minutes. We're going to have Coach Clark's colleague, Coach Eddie Norris, on talking about the basketball program.
How you're going to have one ugly co-host though compared to this one?
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Mr. Phil Harris is jumping teams for to be on
Yep.
there.
yeah. So, Coach, we kind of talked about it earlier. Let's go over the rundown again about the games this week. All 4 games is going to be at Gadsden State. 2 games on Thursday, 2 games at Friday. Thursday, the games are 1 and 3.
3 and 5 on
Oh,
Thursday.
sorry.
12 and 2 on Friday.
And all the games are going to be at home. Gadsden State, a big day for Gadsden State athletics on Thursday with the ribbon cutting and everything else. I'm sure a lot of the city officials will be there as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'll be big. There'll be a lot of people there. It'll be a fun day.
First time Coach Clark's not had Chick-fil-A since January on a weekend too.
Probably so. Probably so. You're probably right.
Do you want one of us to go run by and get you one and bring it to you?
Nah, we got the assistant baseball coaches will usually go get 7 Brew and Chick-fil-A if we need it before games. So especially both of us playing at home, so we probably have it anyway.
Coach, we appreciate it. Best of luck this week as always. And
Enjoy yourself this weekend, Coach. That's a big weekend.
yeah, what? How long has it been since you hadn't been gone at least one day uh, through the week?
Uh, oof, probably the third week of January, the last week of January.
Hey, Coach, all I think about is when we started these shows and the first time we had you on, I don't think you've ever worked harder in your life than putting that stadium together. So, congratulations. And I know you've been in it for a year, but you all have a beautiful, beautiful place to call home.
Yeah, we're glad they're finishing everything up, and Dr. Murphy that was here before and Mr. Smith is here now. They've done an incredible job of um, making sure that everything was running smoothly, and then Corey Carter, who's over all of the big projects here on campus, he's had a big part in that, and so very glad for all those people that are, and then of course Coach Lewis has had to be in all these meetings and. Do a lot of fixing from our side, and he has to hear complaining from me when they were designing it, and he had complaints himself, so he's the one that had to be in between everybody, and we sat through tons of meetings, and just for it to all be almost finished and cut the ribbon on it, that's going to be a pretty cool deal.
It is. And if you ever have to change the team's name from the Cardinals, you can always use the Rattlesnakes.
Yeah, that's
But that,
true. We'll just have to we'll have to cut some of the turf up, but I think they can replace it with a rattlesnake.
hey, Howie, I think jumped over there. No, there he is. Good night. I was saying good night, Howie.
Coach Clark, did you give shout outs before we got going?
Oh yeah, I was talking about the two presidents through this project and Coach Lewis and
Okay.
everybody our head of projects here on campus. So
Sorry about that. I jumped over to get the other two in the studio where they could at least be talking until I got back over there.
they'll talk.
Nobody's ever accused Phil Harris of not talking.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely. So, Coach, we appreciate you joining us tonight as always. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and best of luck for the next 2 weeks. And
Will that be pre-tournament, Coach? 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, if we do what we're supposed
Okay.
to, if we do what we're supposed to over the next 2 weeks, next time we'll talk to you guys. We should be preparing to go get in a hotel in Alabaster and see how that weekend plays out.
Might be able to get you and Coach Guthrie on this same show, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I'll talk him into it. If not, we'll get Jimmy on. Jimmy will do it.
Hey, Phil Harris, the
Jimmy,
voice of the PA there at North Alabama.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Jimmy Clydes would be more than happy to hop on there and talk with us.
oh yeah, oh yeah. That would
So,
that would probably be a that'd be a funny show. I'll just say that.
look, Coach Clark, one of the few times Coach Clark's been speechless on here, mentioning Jimmy on here, and possibly having him on here, and Coach Clark's not real sure what to say.
Yeah,
It'd
we'll
be
bring
like it'd
Tyler.
be like it'd be like putting me and Tyler Van on the show all the
That's
time
what
together.
I was going to say. If we get Coach Van to come in too, if we had Coach Colitis, that'd be perfect.
Oh yeah.
So,
No.
so anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Go out and watch Gadsden State Thursday and Friday. What you got, Randy?
Heading to Texas Roadhouse with the sophomore center. Tomorrow night's our last regular season game. So we're going out to have a little dinner tonight.
Awesome. So,
What I'm talking about.
thanks. Coach Clark's here in Chick-fil-A, and Randy's talking about Texas
Texas
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Yeah.
There's a big difference there, Coach. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, I would take either one. I just like food. It don't really matter what it is.
He's feeding 40 or 30 girls. I'm feeding one.
Yep.
Right.
That,
So for Randy Cunningham, I'm the Howard Chaney, and of course the star of the show, Gadsden State Community College softball coach, Coach Ryan Clark. Best of luck this week, Coach, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And everybody, thanks for joining us. Good night, everybody.
good night.